Hello, and welcome to my Introduction to Dreamweaver series. In this series of videos, you'll learn how to create clean and professional looking websites, which are easy to update and maintain, and are also optimized for search engines. At the end of this series, you'll have created 2 complete websites, and have a solid understanding of how you created them using Dreamweaver. In the process of learning Dreamweaver in this series, you're also going to learn the basics of writing HTML and CSS. If you want to go deeper into learning these topics, HTML and CSS, there are a couple of video series on my channel that cover these topics in depth. You don't need any prior experience in designing websites or using Dreamweaver to successfully complete this course, but if you do have some experience, it won't hurt either. The first several videos cover the basics of using Dreamweaver. If you already use Dreamweaver and are familiar with the basics, you can successfully jump ahead to video number 8 in this series, which is where we actually start to create the project websites for this course. Now, during this course, we're going to complete 2 websites. Both are very similar to each other and provide a good, well-rounded introduction to web design using Dreamweaver. If you want to download the completed projects for this series and the framework that I used to create them, these are available for download in the learning section of my website. You don't need these materials to complete the videos, but they will save you a lot of time in typing out the examples, preparing the images, and finding the different scripts that we're going to use. The framework includes all the resources you'll need to complete the learning projects on my channel for Dreamweaver. Again, you don't need these materials, but they're very helpful. They also contain the completed projects and resources for all of the other Dreamweaver videos on my channel, and again, the framework that I use to create them. The websites we complete in this series will all be created using HTML and CSS layouts. The alternative to CSS layouts are table-based layouts. And table-based layouts are inflexible and problematic for many different reasons. But probably the largest issue with table-based layouts, and the reason why you want to avoid them, are the issues around accessibility and search engine optimizations. And since we want to make it as simple as possible for search engines to understand our site and list them in their results, this will become important. So let's go ahead and take a look at the 2 project websites we'll be completing in this series. These sites were created especially for this series. They're not websites for real companies. Again, you can see the completed versions of these websites by going to my website and going to the learning section. The first website that we're going to look at is called Shears Design. And again, this is a clean professional layout that's going to actually have 2 different page layouts that we're going to work with. One is going to have a 2-column layout, and the other layout that we create is going to be a full width layout, so we can put content into that as well. Well, here we are in the first project website that we're going to be completed for our fictitious company called Shears Design. And you can see here the basic layout. We have a banner up at the top, followed by a top navigation menu right here with links to our main pages. And then we have a rotating banner underneath it. And then below that, we're going to have all the content for our page. You can see that this is a 2-column layout, with the latest news being in the right-hand column, and this Welcome to Shears Design section taking up the full width of the content area here. And then finally we have a footer down here at the bottom. And if you go to several other web pages, you'll see the design here. And again, you can go preview this web design on my site. Here's a page that does not have that rotating banner on it, but does have some additional information on it. And if I go to the contact page, you'll see that right there. Now, there are going to be several special features that we're going to add to this website to make it more interesting to our visitors. And the first of which is we are actually going to create this rotating banner here. And you can see the images fade in and fade out. And you can also see over to the right, we have that semi-transparent box that actually has some text inside of it to describe the information. The second special feature that we're going to add to this website, we're actually going to be able to see on the services page. So I'm going to jump to services, and you can see here, as opposed to the other layouts, this is a 2-column layout, but on the services layout, this is just a 1-column layout. And we actually have this section here called Featured Services. And you can see that this is going to rotate through the different features that are contained in this box: living room, dining room, and family room. And you'll see it scroll through, and you'll also see the animation effect fading this image in and out. Now, when you want to go to a particular page, you can just simply click on these icons right here, and it'll jump you to that point. If you click this item right here, that's the link that's going to actually take you to that section of our website. And I'll go ahead and click on that. I went to the dining room section. And again, you can see the same basic layout, only this is a full width layout. And the feature that we're going to demonstrate on this page is going to be creating a gallery light box. And you can see I've got some thumbnails for some images here. When I click on the thumbnail, you'll see that I get a large version of the image along with the caption and a close button right down here. And this is called, again, a light box. And you can see I've got next and previous buttons, so I can scroll through the different images that are in the gallery. And if I want to, I can put a caption on it down here and close this whenever I want and go back to my page. So we're going to see how to add a gallery to our pages as well. I'm going to come back here to the services page, and let's go ahead and try another page. I'm going to click on living rooms right here, and you can see this page is slightly different. We have a full width right here, but then when we scroll down a bit, we have these shaded in boxes that actually form 3 columns. So we're going to learn how to not only do a full width layout and the 2-column layout that we saw earlier, we're also going to be able to create hybrid layouts. Layouts that at a certain place have a certain number of columns. Like here we can see we just have 1 column. And then we're going to switch into multiple columns, and then finally switch back to a single column. We're going to also see how to use what are called modal pop-ups. Modal, M-O-D-A-L pop-ups. And in the previous example, we saw how we could create pop-ups for images. On this screen, or on this page, we're going to see how we could create a pop-up for some text. For example, you can see here at the bottom of each one of my boxes, I have click here for more information. And when I click on that, you're going to see this modal pop-up appears that has a heading and then some descriptive text here, as well as a little close button. And you can see I can go to another one right there, and another one right here. And this is really useful for creating pop-ups of information. So lots of different features that we're going to go ahead and play with on this website. If we go to the About page, again, we're back to this standard 2-column layout. If we were to go to the Projects page, you'll see that we have the 2-column layout here again. Finally, we're going to see how to do some image rollover effects in this series. And you can see here, when I roll my mouse over these images, the image changes. Right now, they're just simply 2-color sepia tone images, but when I roll over it, it adds some color to it. And we'll see how to do that effect. And that effect can be very dramatic, like this. You can see lots of color appears. Or it can be a more subtle effect. If I hover over here, you can see I have a much more subtle image effect working. Finally, we're going to come here to the Contact page, and we're going to learn how to create a simple form on our website. We're also going to see how to add validation to the form. For example, we would not want the user to be able to submit this form until they've entered in their name, email address, and a comment here. So I could go ahead and type in John Smith here. Oops. And this is a comment. But I left out email. And you can see this is a required field. So when I hit submit, it's going to say email is a required field. So that validation script is going to make sure that your visitors enter the necessary information before they actually submit the form to you. And will also include a mail script that you can use to actually process this form. So this is the first project website that we're going to go ahead and look at. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the second project that we're going to do in this series. So here's the second project website that we're going to complete in this series. And you can see it's very different from the first website that we created, but it's going to use all the different skills and techniques that we learned in that first project, only it's going to expand on them and show you a way to use them in a different context. So same skills applied in a different way, but expanded to show you some additional options. You can see the fading banner here at the top. The only difference between this and the previous one is that we don't see that semi-transparent bar drop down with the text inside of it. So this is going to be a pure image rotator. You can see here we've got a top menu, and in this case we're going to add some rollover effects to make these appear more like buttons. And if I scroll down a little bit, you can see most of our pages here are going to have a one-column layout on them. But we are going to go ahead and create a two-column layout for pages that might want to use that. And you can see here on the location tab, we've got one column with our text in it, and the second column has this image inside of it. And if I go back to the other pages, you'll see again the layout that works there. On our About page, we're going to again see how this gallery works. In this case, I'll click on an image and you'll see the pop-up comes up here. And I've got the previous and next buttons along with a close button here. So I can go through the different images and close and return to the page when I'm ready. So we'll see how to use that gallery plugin for images. And again, we're going to see how to do these modal pop-ups. In this case, I'm on the menu page here, and if I say see nutritional information, in this case again a pop-up appears sort of like it did with the images, only this time all it's containing is some text, and you'll see how to create these pop-ups and format the text that is inside of them. And finally, if I go to my reservations page, you can see here I've again got a simple contact form, so you'll see how to add a form to your websites and also how to add the validation plugin that makes sure that people enter the information in that you need before they submit, as well as a mail script that will actually process this form into an email message to send to you. So this is the second project website, and again, all the same skills from the previous project, just expanded and used in a different context. And again, if you're interested in getting the completed these completed sites, you can go and download them from my website. They contain the completed site as well as all the images here that you'll need to complete these projects. And again, you can use your own images, create them in Fireworks, create your own text, whatever you want. You don't need the project files to complete the videos. They're just there to speed things up for you and to help you out. They really save time in typing out the code, so definitely take a look at those. Now, one of the advantages of using a consistent framework or a consistent project template or series of templates is that it really speeds up creating a website. It prevents you from having to recreate the wheel every single time. You can see here in this layout what we're using this structure for a restaurant website. But if I come over here, you're going to see an alternative that uses the exact same website structure. The only thing that we've changed is the content that we put into the structure. We've added new images here. We obviously changed our color scheme from orange to blue. We've got these rollover effects that are on the menu items again. And there we've got our content area. So you can see how similar these layouts are. Let me go to the welcome page here. You can see how similar the structure is, but just by changing the color scheme and by adding new content, new images and text, we get a completely different appearing website. So not only are these project templates in the framework intended to speed up learning, they're also very practical that you can actually use them to create real websites that show a variety of different things. So that's where we're going in this series of videos. Again, if you have a little bit of experience using Dreamweaver or the basics of creating a website, you may want to skip ahead to video 8. That's where we actually begin to create these different project websites for you. And that's about it for right now. I'll see you in the next video when we get started learning to use Dreamweaver. Hi, before we actually get started with the learning exercises, I wanted to go over several things to you based upon the questions and feedback I've gotten on other videos. And the first thing that I want to impress on everybody is that Dreamweaver is something that everybody can learn to use. It's not a difficult piece of software. Well, that said, it's also not Microsoft Word. It's not something you can just sit down and begin typing at and sort of figure out on the fly. It does take time to learn to use Dreamweaver. What I would recommend that you do is that as you're going through the different videos, I would recommend that you watch the video once without working along. Just watch me as I go through the material for that particular video. After that, watch the video a second time and work through the example with me. And the process of watching the whole video once through will allow you to focus more on what you're doing rather than what I'm saying the second time that you go through the video. So plan on watching most of the videos a couple of different times. One just watching and the other just working along. And again, some people, they can just work along as I've gone through the video, but I found most people it's very helpful if they watch once and then follow along the second time that they watch the video. The next thing that I would bring up is that I'd really encourage you to download the completed projects from my website. And the reason for this is not only is it valuable for creating new websites or using the templates to create your own website, but they're the actual templates that I'm working on in these videos. So what you can do is you can compare your code with mine when you have a problem, and you can see possibly where the problem lies. So that will really help you. Whatever you do, don't become discouraged with learning Dreamweaver. Again, it's going to take time, and sort of just like math, you need to spend some time working through problems to really understand it. And just like you had to work through numerous problems in algebra to really understand what was going on, you're going to need to do the same thing here. And that's one of the reasons why I have 2 complete projects in this one series that'll take you from beginning to end through a complete project. And the Dreamweaver Intermediate series and the Dreamweaver projects that I have posted, again, all follow the same sort of philosophy of taking you from the start to the end of actually building a website. And just like those math problems, the first time you do one, it may not make sense. Once you've done a few more, it's going to make more sense. And once you've worked through a few more, you'll finally understand it. But don't get discouraged if you don't completely understand everything the first time through. And again, the reason why I created multiple projects for multiple sites is to sort of show you things from different angles and different perspectives, and also so that you wouldn't get bored with watching the same project get built over and over and over again. So whatever you do, don't become discouraged right off the back. The other thing that I would say is don't expect to totally understand HTML and CSS after this series. After you've watched through these videos and worked along with them and have sort of a basic idea of HTML and CSS, and again, that's the goal of this series, is to get you basically familiar with HTML and CSS and how to use them in Dreamweaver, I'd recommend that you go watch the Introduction to HTML videos and the Introduction to CSS videos. And what those are meant to do is to take somebody with a modest amount of knowledge in web design and really expand upon what HTML is and what CSS is. If all you're doing is creating a single website, let's say for your small business, you may not need to do this. But if your goal is to really understand how to build websites, your next step after this may be the Intro to HTML and the Intro to CSS series. And then obviously I have a bunch of Dreamweaver series that start you, or that take you from beginning to end through an entire project. The other thing that I would recommend that you never do is please don't try and take any shortcuts. There are lots of websites out there that will tell you all sorts of little shortcuts and fancy little tricks, which is fine in a lot of cases when you really know what you're doing. Shortcuts can speed up the process for you. But when you're just learning Dreamweaver, it's best to sort of follow a standard formula for building websites and not to take any shortcuts. Work through the material, and I think that you'll find once you get through the 2 projects that are in this series, you will have a really good understanding of Dreamweaver and you will feel comfortable working with Dreamweaver. And that comfort will only increase as you watch more videos and learn more things. So right off the bat, don't do any shortcuts. Just go ahead and work through the material and sort of trust that at the end of the project, you're going to know a lot more than when you started. And every time you work through a project, you're going to know more each time. So those would be my suggestions for working through this series and some of the other series. Go through this series first, watch the video, and then watch a video a second time to follow through. And then after you're done with that, you can either watch more of the Dreamweaver project videos or you can watch the Introduction to HTML and CSS video. But whatever you do, don't get discouraged. Stick with it. It's, again, just like math. It's something everybody can do. They just have to work through the problems. And once you've worked through the problem several times, everything is going to sort of fall into place. So good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.